Well, top of the morning, Southern Oregon, and welcome back to the Real Estate Show. So happy you could join us today. I'm Alice Lema. I'm a broker in beautiful Southern Oregon with John L. Scott Real Estate, and you're going to love the guest we have today. We get to interview as part of our alternative housing program. We get to interview George Rogers, who's the general manager of our local Ashland Hills Hotel and Suites. Now, how can Ashland Hills Hotel and Suites be part of alternative housing? Well, check it out. They have converted a bunch of their hotel rooms to apartments. Let that sink in. You can have apartment living and hotel living together. So excited to talk to George Rogers, the general manager of the Ashland Hills Hotel and Suites. We're going to ask them a lot of questions. How did they get started? How are they doing? What are they doing next? So you want to stay tuned for that. It's going to be great. In the meantime, like we do every week, let's check our local statistics, starting with Jackson County. This is year over year. So this time, April 2022 to now, guess what? The average price in Jackson County for a residential home is $505,000. That's up 3% in spite of everything. And it gets better. Our number of sold units year to year are down in Jackson County 26%. Our number of listings in Jackson County year to year are down 18%, and we still have a 3% gain. Can you believe it? Now, as promised, we're starting to track our short sale and foreclosure inventory, and we have 0 sales in the last 7 days of foreclosures, and we have 0 short sales closed in the last 7 days, and that's Jackson County. Josephine County, year to year, the price is $455,000 in Josephine County, and we have a 0 change as far as price. We don't have it up, we don't have it down. Our number of sold in Josephine County are down 20%. Our number of listings in Josephine County are down 11%, and that's year to year. So quite interesting phenomena. Our short sale closed in the last 7 days in Josephine County are 0. Our foreclosures closed in Josephine County in the last 7 days are 0. Klamath Falls year to year, price is $325,000. That's up 7%. Yay, Klamath Falls. Our number of sold houses year to year in Klamath Falls are down 25%. Our number of listing in Klamath Falls are down 16%. And just like Jackson and Josephine County, our short sale closed in 7 days are 0, and our foreclosures closed in Klamath County in 7 days are 0. So that's it, folks. Stay tuned to hear George Rogers, general manager, Ashland Hills Hotel, regarding apartment life in a hotel. We'll be right back. Well, hey, Southern Oregon, welcome back to the Real Estate Show. Alice Lema here, broker John L. Scott, beautiful Southern Oregon. And today we are so excited to welcome our special guest, Mr. George Rogers. He's the general manager of Ashland Hills Hotel and Suites. Okay. George, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
The reason we were so excited to speak to you is Ashland Hills Hotel has converted some of their units into apartments. And I don't think a lot of people know about this yet.
Yeah, it kind of started around the fire that we experienced a few years ago. And there was a growing need for housing, and folks just were looking for spots and didn't have any place to live. At that point, we decided to look at the extended stay opportunities that were out there. And we have a building that we call our Suites building, which consists of 71 units, and they're all furnished. And at that point in time, we decided to start this grand experiment. And we've been doing it now for going on, this is our 3rd year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how is it going?
It's going really well. We're enjoying the best occupancies we have since we began the program. And we just recently, as of the start of the year, it's gone so well that beginning in January 1, we opened up 11 brand new unfurnished extended stay suites.
Wow.
Which we hadn't had. And that's on the 3rd level of our main hotel building. And they're beautiful. They are brand spanking new, and they have full kitchens in them, hardwood, faux hardwood, but hardwood floors, and they're just beautiful. And they vary anywhere from 420 square feet for just an unfurnished studio apartment to 840 square feet for our largest one, which is a 1 bedroom and just a beautiful apartment. So
Well, 800 square feet for a 1 bedroom is big.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
lot of
No,
room.
it's a very nice sized room and looks over our interior courtyard. That particular room does, and yeah, it's beautiful.
So I have so many questions.
Sure.
So when you started this, it was in response to the fires. So bless you for jumping in on that. But that was an experiment, you
Yeah,
said.
I
You
think
didn't
that
know
was
if
the
it
catalyst. I mean, I wasn't here at that particular point in time, but I know that's when we started it. And I think it was a question of demand. And I think
Mhm,
that's kind of what embarked us on this journey. And upon
mhm.
doing that, we saw there's truly a need in our community and our region, quite frankly. We have people that live here that are from Grants Pass and that have found places to live in Medford and all over. So it's not just Ashland folks that have located into these apartments and the convenience. The other thing that you get here that you don't get at a typical apartment building is you get the benefits of basically a resort. We have tennis courts, we have a fitness room, we have pool, we have, a restaurant, we have room service. If you want to get room service,
The apartments have room service?
absolutely. If you get room
Wow.
service, we can deliver over there. So
Do you have maid
pretty exciting.
service?
You can, yes, it is an option that the
Wow.
guests can use for a fee. They can have it once a week during the month where we'll come in and do that. And there's just a small fee. And we'll also take your garbage if you choose that as an option too. And the other big thing is that people don't realize is utilities are included. Garbage, if you want to take it out yourself, is included. Cables included. Wi-Fi, now it is hotel Wi-Fi. It's not like the best streaming Wi-Fi you ever saw in your life, but it's very adequate. And we don't really get any complaints about it, but we have free Wi-Fi in the room. It's truly a great value. So,
Wow.
well, that's inclusive in your room.
That's amazing. So when you first started this, because you were not there during the fires, you came in
Correct.
after? Okay.
Correct.
So, well, bless the hotel for jumping in to help the
Yeah.
community. Do you know historically if those first apartments were rented to fire victims?
Yes, I do know that there were many fire victims that were in there, but I also know that there was some other tenants that came and stayed with us as a result of that availability as well, which I think made us look at, gosh, is this a segment or a slice of business that we should really be looking at that we haven't looked at before?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
so
What
I
a
think
great
it grew
business
from
model.
that. Yeah. And started, with the fire, but I think it grew as we saw.
Well, it's a natural extension. So,
Yeah.
wow, how exciting. What a great business model. So how many units did you start with first?
We started with 71 units and
You
they
took
were
71 units out of the hotel model and
yeah,
put them
that
into the
it's that
apartment?
suite building that we have that's towards the back of the hotel. If you're familiar with the property,
Yep.
it's a building unto itself. So they have their own, apartment or extended stay building. That they
So it sounds like they have their own parking too.
there is the parking is general, but yes, they really do have kind of their own area over there in which they can choose to park. So yes.
Wow, that is so exciting. So 71 units, that sounds like a bigger experiment than I was expecting.
Yeah. No, then and again, we just opened up another 11 on January 1st. We actually are doing 82 units now total.
Yeah. Wow. So what are the rents? And do they pay monthly?
They do, and it varies depending on how long you want to stay. There is a rate, and it depends on if it's furnished or the size of it. So there's a variety of rates, but they go from month to month. And then if you want to go a minimum of 90 days to 6 months, there's another fee, which is a little bit lower. And if you want to go 6 months to a year, we have another one that's a little bit lower. And then if you would like to go a year, commit to a year, it's even lower. So there's kind of a tiered rental system that's in there. So
It's brilliant. It's just brilliant. So do you see any more of your hotel rooms going into this business model, or do you think you'll pause it a little bit for now?
right now, I think that we probably will go that direction long term. I think that's the plan. We have another set of guest rooms that still have never been brought back from when Ashland Hills Hotel and Suites was actually closed for a period of time and then reopened we remodeled rooms as we brought them back online. There is still a large portion of that third floor that I described to you about in the main hotel that is closed. And we're looking very closely at that possibly being extended stay as we move forward, possibly hotel. I don't think our owner has made a complete determination on how they would like to see that.
Well, and you have to do these things as an investor, right? Because that's basically
Mhm.
what we're talking about here. You guys are acting like investors. Well, you are investors. It takes time to watch the business model unfold and kind of season, right?
It does. And I think, we've learned a lot too. I think we're hoteliers, and that's what we have been in our past. And I think it's been an adjustment for us to understand how to operate that, how to properly understand who's moving in. So, we understand how to move forward, all of those different things, how long, again, the tiered system based on how long people would like to stay and making that beneficial. And just, gosh, there's been a lot of things, but it's been fun. I mean, I know I've learned a lot. I've been in this industry, the hotel industry, for a very long time, and I've learned a lot about the long-term side of the business that I didn't know before. So it's been fun
It's
to
different, huh?
learn. Yeah, it is, but it's fun.
So, how long are people staying on average in these units?
That's a really great question. I would say the average is around 6 months, to be honest. I think that we had a number of long terms that had stayed with us a year or two that checked out with us last season. And we've noticed that it's been a little bit of a transitional process. People looking to get into their forever home, people looking to get into a home specifically. So we will be kind of that intermediate stop, particularly for the furnished apartments. But we just opened our unfurnished, as I said, on January 1. So I'm not quite sure how that one's going to play out. The unfurnished may be a little bit longer time. I think we had a guest that moved in with us in the unfurnished extended stay that I think is going to be with us for a very long time. They seem very happy, and this is kind of a commitment and a place that they want to be. The unfurnished, I haven't always got that feeling. I've always felt like, again, a little bit more transitional and looking for that next step.
Well, it's interesting that as I'm sitting here hearing that you started by opening 71 units to get started, but they were furnished. And now listening to you talk, it sounds like that was actually less risky than perhaps the unfurnished ones, because that's the real big question mark now.
That's a really good point, and I think that's extremely true. And good on you for picking that out. I hadn't even really thought about it from that perspective, but we could always use those furnished apartments as hotel rooms if we needed to.
Mm-hmm.
So when we hit our peak season or our summer season, we could go ahead and rent that. And with the unfurnished, we're taking the plunge, so to speak, where we don't have that option, where we can just rent an unfurnished room as a hotel room to a guest. So it's a little bit more of a commitment. Great point, and very true.
Well, and that's the difference in the business model between hotelier and landlord.
Yep, sure is.
Yeah. So how fun. So speaking of landlording, and folks, we're talking to George Rogers. He's the general manager of Ashland Hills Inn Hotel and Suites, and they've opened up quite a few of their rooms to extended stay, short-term, long-term housing, and that's what we're addressing today, because it's an alternative, what we call alternative housing. So what would the next step be if this really works out and your new 11 unfurnished start to get some legs, so to speak? What would be the next step, do you think?
I think finishing out that third floor that we were initially talking about, where these first 11 are, I think there's room, and I'm not certain, but I think it's 20 to 28 more rooms would be spread down there. I think we would continue with that, and we would push through and see that remodel in the unfurnished area. If the unfurnished ones work out fine, if not, we could always furnish them and then decide, do we want to rent those as hotel rooms, or do we want to rent those as extended stay products?
Wow. So that would be over 100 units. How many rooms do you guys have?
Right now, including those units, we have 200 exactly.
Wow. So that could be 50% of
Well,
your
we would be, those
hotel.
rooms aren't counted as part of our inventory that I just described to you. So we would be like 220 or 228
Okay. But
for
that's
those
so,
to come online. Yes.
yeah. Yeah. That's a
It's a
big
large
percentage.
percentage. It's a large
Yeah.
percentage.
Wow. Wow. Do you know if any other hotels are doing this? I don't expect that you would, but
I think there are some traditional extended stay products like Homewood Suites that
oh,
are
gotcha.
offered,
Gotcha.
and there are a few extended stay products that are trickled out there, but nothing like really what we're doing. We're committed to full on, extended stay living where we're signing agreements and sitting down with terms and all of those things. And so no, I don't think anybody else is doing it quite the way we are, to be
Well,
honest.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for the initial conversation when somebody said, hey, let's
Yeah,
take some of these hotel rooms and make them apartments.
absolutely. I mean, a great idea. I think it was a little out of the box at the time, but I also think it was serving a need, and I think it grew from there. I think the need
Hmm.
was looked at and seen, and yeah, I think it just blossomed from there because I think we saw, whoa, this can be successful, and grew from there.
And in this day and age, not that Southern Oregon feels unsafe, but some of the bigger cities, there's a lot of issues with safety. And I'm thinking that this solves that problem as well.
We have secured key access. We have personnel here 24 hours a day. On
24/7.
site. Yep. So, in terms of, I don't want to talk too much about security and what that all means, but we
Oh,
have
no, no,
cameras.
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have cameras on site and that can, we can look at stuff. And so we feel like we provide a level of security for sure.
Well, we've got so many more questions. Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm Alice Lema. I'm a broker with John L. Scott, beautiful Southern Oregon. And we're talking to George Rogers, the general manager of the Ashland Hills Inn Hotel and Suites. And they've converted some number of their hotel rooms into apartments, extended stay kind of business model. George, thanks again for being on the show today.
You bet.
Well, this is so interesting. And part of my excitement is I've been tracking the cruise ship business model. They're converting some of their rooms into extended stay kind of lifestyle living. And when I found out that you guys were doing this in Ashland, I just had to talk to you. So thank you again for coming on.
You bet.
So, so many questions. What kind of person do you see moving in now that the fire victims have moved on? Who's attracted to this lifestyle?
It's interesting. I initially thought it was going to be students.
Oh,
And
really?
we thought we would get quite a few SOU students, and that frankly has not been the case. I mean, there are a couple here and there, but it hasn't been a lot of students. It's a lot of professionals, folks that are working and living their life, so to speak. We do have some tenants that are remodeling their homes. We do have a lot of people that are relocating to the area, kind of as I discussed in the first segment, in which they're looking for their home and they haven't quite found that yet, or they're transitioning, they're selling their home and they haven't quite got into their new one. We have a little bit of that. And thus, the extended stay type of guests that we're seeing. So
That is so interesting. So, traveling nurses, professors,
we have
scientists.
seen some traveling nurses as time has gone by. It kind of ebbs and flows, but we have seen some traveling nurses, and we've seen guests that are engineers that are working on some different projects in the Northwest. We have seen construction. We've seen, as I said, a few students. We've seen fire victims, quite obviously. Boy, it runs the whole gamut, but a lot of it is folks that are relocating to the area. That's what I've noticed this year, in particular in January and February, where a lot of people that were selling a home, moving to the area, and we're in that in-between position.
Well, and see, now that we've talked, I have 4 people I'm going to call right after the show because they were looking for apartments, and the inventory for long-term rentals is really low, and it has been for a long time.
Mhm.
And then you don't get the services. I mean, the services you provide are amazing.
Yeah, we think that really differentiates us. Again, you get the amenities of being in a full service hotel. but you also get so many things that you don't pay for your electricity, you don't pay for your heating, you don't pay for your water, you don't pay for your garbage, you don't pay for cable, you don't pay for Wi-Fi. I think those to me are really huge. Those are significant things that, literally you just move in and you can sit back and enjoy your apartment right from the beginning. All you got to do is move in your clothes.
Yes, that is
food,
yeah, very,
so.
very tempting. And we're still a destination. Southern Oregon is, you're probably aware of this, on a lot of lists for destination lifestyles since the pandemic.
Very much so.
Yeah, and being on the I-5 corridor. Yeah, and then that you're offering that that step in between, so they don't have to rush to find something.
I think so.
Yeah, it really is very, very smart. So if you get these other 11 units into that long-term tenancy kind of track, then you would go ahead and add some other units that would be.
I think so. I think it all depends on timing, with filling those 11, are the other 71 still full? I think there's some factors that go there, but I think the way we're going right now and the occupancy that we're enjoying, I think it's going to happen. And I'm optimistic that it will happen. When, I wish I could give you an answer. I wish I could say we're starting tomorrow. although I don't want noise over our guests' head during our peak season in the summer. So maybe if we did it in the wintertime, that would be a little bit more strategic of us.
Oh, yeah, that would be very smart, because you wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. So how is this affecting the load? How is this tenancy load affecting the rest of the hotel, the cleaning services, the food service, all that? Like, what kind of an impact is it having on that?
That's a great question. It depends on the cleaning or the room attendant, front office, our front desk, phone management, mail, stuff like that. There is an impact on what those folks have to do, and obviously we're hospitality driven, and I think again that's part of what makes us a differentiator from a typical apartment or a typical, which is why we are extended stay and why we phrase ourselves as extended stay, is because you get a little higher level of hospitality than you would otherwise get. Our agents are able to answer questions for you. Our housekeeping staff is here on site, and they can react to incidents and issues much quicker than if you were in a building and you had to call and somebody is off site and they had to dispatch somebody to come to the building. I think that's a big advantage that we have. From a food and beverage perspective, I think it's such an amenity for the guest that doesn't matter what the weather is or what. Well, of course, we have hours of operation, but for the most part, it doesn't matter what time. You can literally walk across from your apartment, enjoying outdoor dining or in the restaurant. We have jazz. We have, on some Sunday nights, and we just, scratch cooking. Luna has got a great reputation here.
Oh, I eat there frequently. It's fabulous. The food is amazing at the Ashland Hills. Yeah,
I eat there all the time myself. I cheat at lunch. I go down there. They do a great job, and we feel really blessed to have that on site. And a lot of the feedback from our guests and extended stay guests is exactly that. They love that. And
so did you have to?
The room service aspect is something else that is definitely something you couldn't enjoy. I guess you could do Uber Eats or whatever they call it that delivers to your house, but you're not going to get the kind of quality. It's still hot. It's still, ready to go and warm. We walk that right across to your room, and that's a big deal.
Well, and making everything from scratch, I think is also very smart, because if you're looking just at the community of Ashland, very much organic and health conscious. So
for sure. Yep.
Yeah. And is it just the Luna Cafe, or is there another restaurant, or is that it?
That is the only one we have. We do have banquet and catering services within the hotel, but no, that is our only restaurant.
Yes, and I've been to several of those.
Nice.
John L. Scott frequently has their gala events at your hotel, and those catering services are amazing.
Wow, thank you. And I think I neglected to mention we also have a pool and a hot tub, and I'm not sure, and it's an outdoor pool and hot tub. I don't know if everybody knows that out there. But.
Yeah, is the pool heated?
Yeah, not yet. We're planning on opening it around Memorial Day, but a lot of times we get warmer sooner than that. So as soon as the weather turns, we're gonna open it. So
Well, Southern Oregon weather, it can't decide what it's going to do.
exactly.
I
Exactly.
mean, yesterday it was 70, and then I think we might have another snow flurry in a couple of days.
I
So,
know.
but folks, that's just normal Southern Oregon
Yeah.
weather. If
And
you're new
I
to the
don't think
area,
we're
don't
in a
freak out.
drought anymore. Fingers crossed.
No,
So
no, no.
hopefully
So
we're
you
out of
might
that.
actually have a lot of visitors this summer because we have so much water. If the hotel gets full, then what do you do?
Well, we're going to be happy. Number one, we actually fill all summer traditionally anyway. We in the
Oh,
summer
okay.
months we run literally about a 95% occupancy, and that includes 7 days a week. So that's only a couple of days a week where we're not completely full.
Wow.
It is traditional that we do that. We're a little concerned with the economy, gas prices, some unfortunate news about Oregon Shakespeare Festival that just came out. So there's some
Yeah.
factors going into this summer that we really haven't dealt with in the past. So there's a little bit of a wait and see. Particularly inflation and stuff and gas prices have got us concerned. We're hoping our California neighbors, who's a huge contributor to our room nights, still want to travel and get up and see our beautiful state. So
Yeah, I just heard about Oregon Shakespeare Festival today as well, that they may be having some struggles. Pandemic was hard. They made some beautiful investments right before the shutdown.
yeah.
Do you have any data on how many of the Oregon Shakespeare travelers come through Ashland or come to your hotel during that time?
Off the top of my head, I don't. There's definitely an impact, and we have three. Newman Hotel Group has three products in the Ashland market. We have the Lithia Springs Resort, we have the Ashland Springs Hotel, and we have the Ashland Hills Hotel and Suites. So there's three of us. Certainly, our two sister properties, I think, are even more impacted from festival room nights. Our location being closer to I-5, although we definitely get contribution, I think we get more of the traveler kind of coming, staying over, and going on to the next destination than maybe that long-term overnight stay. We're working on some things to enhance the guest experience and to get people to want to stay a little bit longer, but certainly it's going to have a big impact. What that is, we're still hoping that the goal of the money that the festival needs to raise is able to happen. And so we don't even have to visit such a thing. And all those room nights will continue to come to us that would normally come for the festival. But it's a factor, it's something we need to think about, which again, being an extended stay saves us a little bit of that exposure, I guess, be a good word.
And I think your location too. I think, I didn't have that clear in my head, but I think you're right that being on the I-5 corridor and not downtown is going to help if something does go sideways with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. But none of us want to see that.
That's right.
They have a lot of friends with deep pockets, so we're pulling for them.
Yep.
Before we go to break, I wanted to ask you about the Oregon landlord tenancy laws and how that affects you, because state of Oregon is a rent control state. Not being political, folks, just being matter of fact. So how does that play in the minute and a half we've got left? What is that like for you guys?
Yeah, we adhere to all the rules and have that in our agreements. And we are, like I said, an extended stay product. So not necessarily quote definition of apartment, but we do follow all the tenancy laws, and we've spoken with our legal team to make sure that we adhere to all the practices, and we do that.
So are you more like an Airbnb?
I'd say so, yeah. I'd say more in that direction, yeah.
Yeah. Residential hotel. How do you define yourself as extended stay, but what
we do? And so that does mean that technically we're more towards the hotel. But for example, if you're a tenant, you stay for more than 30 consecutive days. And that's what really qualifies as that extended stay topic. You need to stay a minimum of 30 days to qualify as a quote renter or extended stay guest. So once we go past 30 days, that's when these types of discussions start about signing a lease or an agreement. It's actually an agreement that you sign. And that's where, again, the varying rents based on month to month, 30-day, 6-month, and a year, where we do have varying. We do have a non-refundable cleaning fee, which we require. We do allow pets.
I was going to ask about that.
And with the pets is a little bit higher of a non-refundable cleaning fee. And I also didn't mention that we put in a dog park, which is for our tenants and for our hotel guests, which literally is a dog park within our 14 acres.
Well, we're going to ask more about that. George Rogers, General Manager, Ashland Hills Inn Hotel and Suites. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show, folks. Alice Lema, broker John L. Scott in Southern Oregon, talking to George Rogers, the General Manager, Ashland Hills Inn Hotel and Suites, about their fabulous offering of apartment-like living in a hotel. George, thank you again for being on.
You bet. I'm glad to be here.
So right before the break, you started teasing us with telling people they could have pets in these
Yep.
hotel room turned apartments. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, we do allow pets, and that is with, like I said, the non-refundable cleaning fee of $800, and we just put in a pet friendly park in which you could take them over to let them off the leash, and they can run around in there. Other than that, they have to be on their leash. But the world that we live in, everybody's got their pets, and especially their puppies, it seems like, and they everywhere they go, those puppies go, and so it just made sense for us to make that happen. And we get a lot of folks that is definitely a deal maker or a deal breaker. Do you allow pets?
Boy, is it.
Yeah,
it's a big deal. So what kind of pets do you allow and not?
Cats and dogs. We really don't have much else besides that. I can't even think of anything else. And of course, we would have a discussion if somebody wanted a different type of pet than that, but that's all that we've experienced so far. I'll put it that way.
So what if somebody wanted to have an aquarium?
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, actually. We haven't experienced it. So we'd have to sit down and talk about that.
That might come up more in your unfurnished units.
Yeah, I think maybe more in the unfurnished. I'm a little bit nervous about everybody being stacked, and if something broke, and the water situation, but I think we would look at it. Certainly, I don't ever want to say no, because it might be important to them to have their aquarium with them. So we would probably have to sit down. But you've raised a very good point. I think.
Well, I just work with so many landlords, and a lot of them don't allow water anything. You can't have a water bed. You can't have an aquarium.
That's my initial reaction. But I think we should talk about that. That's a great point.
Well, in the vacant, not vacant, but the unfurnished ones, you're going to get more people.
That's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the unfurnished ones, do they come with refrigerators and washers and dryers?
They all come with refrigerators. Every one of our rooms have a refrigerator, and they're I wouldn't call them like a huge refrigerator, but they're full size. They're not your typical. They're not your typical hotel refrigerators that are kind of short, like a mini fridge. These are full standing ones with a freezer and with the refrigerator. Our unfurnished basically have full kitchens. They have, an oven and stove and all of that.
Wow.
The furnished, or the 71 apartments, they have what we would call kind of a mini kitchen. They have more of an induction type of plate, which is it's built in. It sits within the countertop, but it's two kind of burners, and you just set it on there. So it's more of a stovetop. It doesn't have an oven, but it does have the microwave. It does have the standing refrigerator, coffee maker, and some shelving on there. So that's a great question.
Wow. Well, I would love to come down and tour them sometime, but we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, anytime.
So the pet park that you have, where did you put that in, and how did you design it?
It actually came out of some of our extended stay folks that have been staying with us that asked us if we would do something, because they were following the rules and keeping their animal on the leash, but they wanted to let their animal run a little bit. And so we put it right out next to the extended stay building, or our suites building, as we call it. And it's just right over across, because we have 14 acres here. So we have a lot of area.
Wow. I didn't realize you were so big.
And built it. So it's so amazing to work for a place that actually puts their money in listening to what our residents say. So I was really proud of that, actually, because it just took some comments by them, and our ownership said, sure, let's do that. And I thought that was great. And
Yeah.
it's made an
Yeah.
impact. I've had a lot of really positive feedback. And again, not just from our tenants or our extended stay guests, but also our hotel guests appreciate it.
Oh, so the hotel guests can use that too.
Yep, it's open to all of the folks that are staying with us.
Wow, that's beautiful. Do you have anybody bringing do people travel with their cats?
Not too much. I mean, it happens, but pretty rare. It seems like the dogs are by far the much more. A lot of our extended stay folks do have cats, though. Over there, they have them, but hotel guests, not typically.
Yeah, that was just a random question.
No,
Sorry.
it's a good one, and I don't have any statistics for you on that, but it's certainly much rarer than the dog.
Yeah, well, what a beautiful service you're offering. I'm so impressed.
Well, thank you. We are sure excited to be offering it, and it's been really successful. And we are looking forward to continuing it and seeing it grow, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I bet it does. And we'd love to check back with you maybe later in the year and see how the unfurnished units work out for you.
You bet. They've been going good. Hopefully I'm going to say 100% full when you call, but we're getting very close as it is. So we're excited.
Well, and I'm so in favor of this business model. You can count on me to send some people your way, no problem. But going back to the unfurnished part, are there washer and dryers in those, or do you use the laundry facilities of the hotel?
Great question, and I should have addressed that earlier. We do have coin operated laundries in the hotel and in the suites building, and our furnished apartments do not have a washer and dryer. 3 of our unfurnished apartments do have a washer and dryer in them, and they are rented currently. But we do have, as I said, coin operated laundry available in both buildings.
Well, that's super cool. Super cool. And I really love that everything's locked and secure, and you've got people on duty 24/7. That is just so comforting to all the guests to know that they can have this kind of lifestyle with that security.
Yep, we're pretty proud of it, and we try our best. And and especially in this day and age, it's really important. Like I said, we have cameras, and we do have personnel on site 24 hours a day. So,
So I just got to ask, what was the biggest surprise when this model started working? Because it is different. It's different than being a hotelier.
Well, that's a great question. Biggest surprise. I think with how popular it has been, I honestly, I didn't think it could get to the point that it's gotten. It has only gained. And I think a lot of that is the market that we're in. I think that there's definitely housing demand, pent up demand in our market. I don't think there's any question about that. But I have to admit, I thought it would be more where we would be selling them as hotel rooms because the hotel side would be much more in demand than the extended stay. And I think I'm wrong on that. I actually think extended stay has just as much, if not more, demand. So
that would be my prediction, is that the extended stay. And I'm wondering if this would be a good downsizer option, for people who need still to live independently. Maybe we should talk about that in the 30 seconds we have left. This would be great for older people.
I don't think there's any question that it would be good for older people. And I think it's certainly an option that me personally, if it was just me in my life and doing something, it's not something I can say that I wouldn't look at. You don't have a yard to deal with. You don't have, a roof to repair. You don't have a house to paint. There's a lot of, just upkeep and maintenance that you don't have to worry about. So I think that that's very much the case. I do think people will gravitate to that more and more and more.
Yep. And then you can have snackies delivered to your room.
Exactly.
Well, George, we're out of time. George Rogers, General Manager, Ashland Hills in Hotel and Suites. Thank you so much. Will you please come back on again later in the year?
Oh, I would love to. Thanks for having us. And you come by and take that tour you were talking about anytime you want.
We will. Have a beautiful weekend, folks. Bye now.
You too. Take care.